What's good, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Lamb Live. Today, first, my name is Lamb. Today, I'm here with my brother, my friend, Morgan Iverson. Morgan, how you feeling today, bro?
I'm good, man. Good. Thank you for inviting me. I think this is my first time on my brother's podcast, so I appreciate the invite, bro.
For sure, for sure. Um, I guess I'll start with the first. Well, first, let me tell y'all if you're new here, this is a show where we talk about creativity, we talk about life, we talk about how it's all connected. The first thing I want to say is if you are here, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share this with somebody if you think they might enjoy this conversation. But I want to start with my first question that I always start with.
Mm-hmm.
Morgan, what is inspiring you right now? What are you reading? What are you watching? What are you listening to? What is getting the creative juices going for you right now?
I think a lot of times I'm inspired by my own life, things that have happened in the past, or things that are happening presently. Um, my son is inspiring me. My daughter's inspiring me. Um, my goals, the things that I have um, in mind that I want to accomplish this year, are inspiring me. Um, those are the things that come right off the top of my head as far as like biggest inspirations in art and in different forms of art. I would say uh, I mean, for those who don't know me, I mean, Midnight Mass always inspires me as a creative piece by Mike Flanagan on Netflix. Always an inspiration, just because I feel like it was such a a, a great marriage of writing, directing, and acting that I pray that I'm able to assemble at some point in my life. You know what I'm saying? To write something, be inspired by it, be able to direct it, and find the right people to bring it to life. Like as comic creators, we know how important it is, especially if you're not the artist yourself. You know if you don't do the pencils and the inks and stuff like that, how important it is for you to find the right team, even for letters. You know what I'm saying? Because the right person lettering or your comic can take it to new places. You know what I mean? So, um, Tommy Adeyemi, obviously, with finishing her trilogy, even though I know there are multiple views about how that was brought to an end.
Right.
Uh, Alien Romulus uh, is inspiring. To be that deep into a franchise, and like I said before, and I can't wait for it to come out again streaming so that I can watch it again and make sure that I'm not tripping. I usually want to watch something two or three times to make sure that I'm feeling how I initially felt.
Now, I
Uh,
haven't seen it yet, but I heard incredible things about it.
yeah, to me to be that deep into a franchise, and I would put Romulus. I might put it behind the Aliens 1 and 2. Like Aliens 1 and 2 are still the standard. There have been some other Alien movies that were good. In between, I didn't dislike Prometheus, but Romulus is really good. And to be able to be that deep into the franchise and have a new director with a new vision come in and be able to both pay homage to where things came from, the story wise, and how things were executed by what I'm saying, someone before you, also bring your own flair to it and be able to have it go off without a hitch. I think that's amazing. Jordan Peele always inspires me too. Just your first dabble into a genre that you don't belong in. You know what I'm saying? As an African American writer director, coming into horror, and your first thing be a triumph of that level. I mean, it's crazy. You know what I mean? So Ryan Coogler, like Usual Suspects for me, they inspire me at all times. Issa Rae, um, at all times inspire me. The show on Peacock, Fight Night, fantastic so far. You know what I'm saying? Writing, acting, seeing black people come together to be able to green light something on their own with the right partners. All of that stuff is extremely inspiring to me. So I got a lot that rolls around in my head.
Yeah, yeah. So right now, I'll say what's inspiring me right now. And I talked to you a little bit about this, but I've been on this journey to really dig into African American culture, if you will, right? So, I started reading this book. It's based off of King Arthur mythology and the legends of King Arthur. And so when you look around at these different cultures, right, everybody has like these stories and these tales and this mythology and this lore. And I just found myself sort of grieving the disconnectedness that I was feeling from, because naturally Africa would be ours, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then being disconnected from that to dig into that mythology feels the same as if I'm digging into Greek mythology or something that's not mine. It doesn't feel like mine.
Mm-hmm.
And so just doing some studying and really, like I've been learning about hoodoo. I didn't really know what hoodoo was. I've been learning more about that and just seeing like that's something that was created out of or created by enslaved Africans, which are the quote unquote African Americans, right? And so that just going on that journey and just learning more about that and where it came from and what it is and the historical figures that have been a part of that tradition, that's been very inspiring for me. And so I'm just excited to see how this impacts, what I create moving forward. And that's been a really cool beginning. I know it's the beginning of a journey that I'm on. You know what I'm saying? So that's been very inspiring for me. So
I think I always give Greg Anderson, Elise, and Dorfis a huge hats off for what they're providing the community in the stories that they're telling. You know what I'm saying? Both of them having I believe both of them have Haitian roots. And both of them are adapting. Greg is adapting Anansi with his Nana and bringing that story to life. He's also done John Henry. He's done different stories that are within the folklore of African Americans and Africans. You know what I'm saying? And being able to meld that and Dorfis too. You know what I'm saying? Like being able to meld things. I very much so enjoy, like, one of my goals with Lumberjacks was to bring knowledge and life to things or traditions that Black people might not know that they're connected to. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason I chose Ethiopia, you know what I'm saying, to be where he was from. That's the reason I chose New Orleans to be where he ended up, you know what I'm saying? Like, because of the New Orleans is such I still have not been, but I'm looking forward to taking that trip. It's such a insane level melding of cultures, especially for people of African descent. There's so much there, bro. Like spiritually, culturally, like all of that stuff melds so much in New Orleans, and that's one of the reasons I chose it. And then in Ethiopia, you know what I'm saying, the connection to Christianity, the connection to Judaism, you know what I'm saying, that people don't know about. And those are some of the things that I want to bring to people's attention. It's putting the medicine in the candy type thing, you know what I'm saying? I believe in that. I like doing it, whether you know about it or not. Initially, you're taking that regardless, you know what I'm saying? And you're coming into contact with it. And at some point, as the breadcrumbs continue to build up, you know what I'm saying, you have a new appreciation for something that you didn't know about. So
well, let's go ahead and talk about that. Let's talk about well, the first thing is, how do you introduce yourself? How do you describe yourself? How do you see yourself? Like when somebody says Morgan Iverson, who are you? What do you say?
Father, writer, believer, hopefully seen as a good friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Uh,
I know.
can use some work.
I hate you. Um, Dreamer. I definitely Dreamer. Evolving. Um, I am an extremely introspective person to a fault at times. You know what I'm saying? Like there have been a lot of things in my life that I've deprived myself of based on my own thoughts. You know what I'm saying? So the defining myself as somebody that's evolving or an evolver is definitely something I would define myself as, because I'm always constantly um, looking to be critical of myself. Not critical, be self-aware. I guess is the best way to say it. To be self-aware of my strengths and my weaknesses, be able to accept both, but also set a course to be better. You know what I mean?
Real quick, so I just want to give the audience, our listeners, a warning. Morgan, if you don't cut Morgan off, Morgan will continue to talk and talk and talk. So if you see me cutting him off, it's just a part of the way that I have to jump into the conversation.
Hey, listen.
I would like to go back to you said there are things you've deprived yourself of.
Yeah.
Can you talk more about that and maybe give an example of what you mean when you say that?
Yeah. On a lighter scale, women. You know what I'm saying?
All right, now let's move on.
Hey, no, bro, you asked, so you know what I'm saying? We out here now, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
so
man, wow.
Yeah, listen, what I mean is,
you're right. This is your interview.
Yeah, hey, listen, what I mean is I could be interested in a young lady, high school, college, and after, you know what I'm saying? But if I be in my own head about even saying anything to them, so in my own brain, I'm like, you can't step to her, bro. Like you know what I'm saying? Like so you know what I'm saying? I didn't even give myself the opportunity to find out. At the worst thing that can happen is she says she's not interested. No, you ugly, whatever it is. But if you never ask, how you gonna know? You know what I mean? Like, and I found out over time there were people that I was interested in that were interested in me, and it just never happened because you know what I'm saying, they're not gonna go out of their way to hit me. You know what I'm saying? That's on me to do. So that's in a lighter way. In a more serious way, opportunities. Still in the same vein though, like I can have somebody say, "Hey, man, not I'm evolving now to change that mindset." But in the past, I've had people ask me about, "Hey, we think you'd be good for this." You know what I'm saying? We've seen you do this. We've seen you do that. We think you'd be good for this. Are you interested in the role? Or whatever it is. And I'll be like, in my head, I'm like, I'm not, I appreciate that I'm flattered, but this person will probably be better. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll put other people in front of me instead of me just taking the opportunity on my own and then seeing where it goes. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean by like the depriving.
Where does that come from?
Honestly, when I go to therapy, I'm sure there'll be things that get pulled out. It's probably something childhood based. I don't have an exact answer on that. I've done it since I remember me doing it when I was little. Like you know, I can know I think some of it comes from me not wanting to inconvenience people, or seem like a burden, kind of like when I was growing up, my grandma would she would ask me, you know, what I want to eat, and I can know exactly what I wanted to eat, but my first answer is gonna be, I don't know. I don't know. Like I know I want to go to McDonald's, but and it might be also because I don't want to be disappointed in the answer. You know what I'm saying? So like if she says, "What do you want to eat?" and I'd be like, "McDonald's," and she'd be like, "Nah," now I'm gonna be mad. You know what I'm saying? So like it could be a combination of both. You know what I mean? It's something that, but when I realized that I was doing that, and this was honestly a few years ago. You know what I'm saying? I realized I was doing that. I was like, all right, you got to just try the other side of that. You know what I'm saying? So if the opportunity comes up, just be like, yeah. You know what I'm saying? And the worst thing that happens is you're not ready for it. You fail. You have to get better, whatever it is. And you have to learn to make yourself vulnerable to, because I'm an open book in a lot of ways, at times to a fault, but not in that way. Again, especially if I'm going to be a detriment to myself. So where it comes from exactly, when I get in these therapy sessions, I promise I'll let everybody know, but I don't have a clear answer right now.
Yeah. So it sounds like what you're alluding to there was the fear of rejection, right? And what's interesting about that is you chose to become a writer, which is filled with rejection, right?
Yep.
I mean, part of being a writer is knowing that at every turn, you're gonna get 10 no's before you get your yes, right?
Yep.
So what is it that brought you to want to write stories? And how, and with that, what brought you want to write stories? And then how did you overcome that fear of that rejection in order to say, look, I'm gonna write these stories, period?
I mean, I love writing stories when I was young. I always have, but I let it go for a while. Peer pressure, almost all like there were a lot of things that I was good at in school that I stopped doing because I didn't want to seem like I was that guy. You know what I'm saying? Like I was. I don't know. It's I went through a time period when I was in school where like I still remember distinctly like everybody getting on the bus and talking about what grades they got in school. And they'd be like, man, yeah, that B gave me a B or a C or a D. And I'd be listening to them and in my head, I know I got A's, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not gonna say nothing because like if I do say something, I'm not gonna say I got A's. I'd be like, yeah, she gave me a D because I used to get picked on. So it would probably me deflecting to try to be a part of the crowd so that I don't bring attention to myself. And when I stopped writing, when I stopped singing, because I had like a chorus scholarship on the line and I stopped doing it because I didn't want to be embarrassed. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to be embarrassed when I went to the next grade because I was like, these mothers, like they pick on me already now. Ain't no freaking way I'm gonna survive if they, you know what I'm saying, if I got a chorus scholarship. So like, again, the depriving of myself based on what other people were possibly thinking, you know what I'm saying? And this is just in my head. So overcoming it as I got older, I started writing some on my own, and I've told the story before. Like Danny, my boy that I do the comics with, he had written something.
Danny J. Quick, right?
Yep. Yeah.
He's been on the show. He's been on the show.
Yeah. Danny he had just written his novel, and I read it, and I was like, yeah. One, I was impressed that you could even publish a novel. I was impressed that he had a novel that was published. So I asked him would he read what I did because I respected what he did, and he read it, he liked it.
So you had already done Lumberjacks?
No. I had not. I was writing a different story. I can't remember what the name of that story was at this time. I remember it was based on a character named John Martyr. Like I've used that name online like before, but I haven't finished that story. So I was writing that story, and I had a snippet that I sent to him, like a chapter. You know what I'm saying? I sent to him to see if he would like it. Or to give me feedback, you know what I'm saying? And he said he liked it. And he was like, yo, I'm trying to build this comic universe. You know what I'm saying? Can you help me come up with some characters? And I was like, nah, because I don't know nothing about comics. I didn't grow up reading comics. And long story short, in that regard, the idea for Lumberjacks came up after that. You know what I mean? So because I said no like 5 or 6 times, but he was persistent in asking. And eventually an idea came, and then the story grew from that. So me still writing right now is still one, I know it's cathartic for me. With having a son with special needs and the things that we've been through with my son and his health journey, the writing helps me get it out of my heart and onto the pages at times, whether I'm writing about him directly or not. It just helps, you know what I'm saying, to let the creative process fall onto the page or whatever it is I'm doing. Similar to me playing video games, stuff like that, I found that's a way for me to decompress. But I also want to leave my thoughts and imprints and creativity for the world to be able to read, to hopefully be able to bless somebody else to help their journey, especially because I've been through so much. So like for me to be able to give different parts, like I said, I'm an open book. So, but a lot of times I'm an open book because I want to encourage somebody else. So I think that's one of the biggest driving forces for me continuing to write, is because I feel like the stories that I'm telling and that I want to tell could be inspirational for somebody else in more than one way. One, the age that you are doesn't dictate your dreams. You know what I'm saying? That you're going to be able to get them. Two, the stories that I'm telling and the content that I am talking about are things that I've either experienced personally, have always thought about, or something like that. But what my perspective on it, I hope, can be something that's eye-opening to other people. Whether they agree with me or not is not the point. It's more so about presenting a different point of view, my point of view, in that way, and then having people interact with that and kind of turn it and being able to start conversations based on that. Most people, people say I'm argumentative.
Oh, do they? Crazy.
At times, yes. At
You?
times,
No.
yeah. At times, people say that, and I'm shocked. I'm just as shocked as you are. But I don't enjoy arguments. I debate. Debates I can learn from, and I enjoy those because if you have a different perspective than mine, that's interesting to me, because I want to know what's behind that, because I don't know everything. So if I can't have I've had people ask me in the past, like, why I would have conversations with people that seem like they were obviously racist or obviously this or that on my Facebook page. And more often than not, it's because, one, they're presenting an idea that I haven't thought about, or at least from a perspective I haven't thought about. And I can't learn if I don't know the perspective. You know what I'm saying? Whether I agree with it or not is not the point, but I'm not going to know anything if I don't talk to them. So being able to present that same thing to other people is a goal of mine. Shaking up people's thoughts about things that I have some knowledge about is a goal of mine, because shaking up thoughts of people or presenting a different perspective can help change lives, and that's a goal of mine. So, yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about Lumberjacks. I know you have some other titles, but Lumberjacks was what I was first introduced to you. Not, I guess, introduced to you by, but like the first time I heard your name was through reading Lumberjacks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So can you talk a little bit about what Lumberjacks is, and maybe even how that idea came to fruition for you?
So Lumberjacks, as a storyline, Lumberjacks is about a guy that has a destiny.
Bullet holes in your chest.
No, that's Harlem. No, that's Harlem. See, that's different. That's a different thing. Overall, humans like to be able to connect to different characters, and the way that you could connect to Jax is that all of us have something. I believe most people have something in their life that they feel like, or they've at least been told, is a gift of theirs, is their destiny, is their calling. Jax has that calling, but some of the things that he's been through in his life, he's had a rough life, and the things that he's been through in his life have interfered with his belief in that calling and him whether or not he should even accept it. And
real quick, I just want to stop you right there, because what's interesting about that, this is not really a question, but I did not know the part of your story where you talk about your fear of rejection and how you pull yourself out of the front, right? You try not to put yourself front and center. You do things to just stick in the crowd so you're not drawing attention to yourself. And just now, when you just said that about Lumberjacks, I said, damn, that's it right there.
Yep.
Did you notice? Did you do that on purpose?
No, it's probably was subconscious. You know what I mean? Like, but
you noticed that before I just said that?
No.
Interesting.
No.
But you see,
yeah, but I think that's, again, that's my subconscious bringing that into being. You know what I'm saying? Like because again, like so his lumberjack's necklace, neck piece, whatever you want to call it, is a mantle. It is an adornment of a mantle that has been passed down for generations, and he's supposed to be the seventh and last one to carry that mantle. He's told about that prophecy from the age of 10, and he believed in it wholeheartedly growing up. But once, without spoiling anything, once some really harsh things took place in his life, he stopped believing in that aspect of things spiritually, or at least he was agnostic about it, and that interferes with his journey and whether he even wants to pick it up. So the story as a whole is about that, while also the subplot is more so about the turmoil that's going on in New Orleans and him trying to be, because he believes in justice by any means so much. That's what the whole first arc is pretty much a by any means series. Each comic has a different by any means to it, and but he believes very deeply in justice by any means because of the things that he's been through. And one of the things that he learns in that first arc is that justice looks like and is different things for different people, depending on what your experience is and depending on what you feel like the appropriate response is. So as Jackson's going through his own personal journey with other people that are on a similar journey, he has to go through this look in the mirror process because of who it is that he's coming in interaction with in that first arc. And it helps push him towards a decision about his destiny, whether he wants that to be the case or not. There are sometimes that things in your life take place that make you confront things that you're attempting to run from, and that's what Jax is in. He's in a situation where he wants to run away from it. He wants to not deal with it, but things are taking place in New Orleans and in his life that it's impossible for you to run now. You know what I'm saying? You got to make a decision, and the first arc is about seeing what decision Jax is going to end up making.
Yeah. And I also want to do a little bit of a pivot because, again, as you were talking, I just had this thought. Part of the reason why I keep looking down too, because I'm making notes about things that you're saying so I don't forget them. You mentioned that your son has special needs, and I have friends that, you know, they have 2 kids. Well, now they have 3 kids, but their 2 oldest kids, they both have sickle cell. And the interesting thing about watching people with children who have special needs, and not even just children, it could be your grandfather, it could be somebody that you have to take care of, right? That idea of when you say there's just some things you can't run from, right? Like, you know, at some point the shit is gonna hit the fan, and I'm gonna have to step up, right? And so I just wonder, for you, what has that process been like for somebody who has routinely tried not to draw attention to themselves and not put themselves in that kind of position, but then to find yourself constantly in that position? What has that been like for you?
The blessing for me is that when I had my son, I grew up in church, but I was what I know and believe to be saved now versus what I did before are 2 different things. So my belief in God absolutely positively carried me for, I mean, it still does now, you know what I'm saying? But he's built things up in me into things that I naturally do. And I don't know if it's been built over the time that I've had my son, or if I was already like that. As far as, and what I mean is, like, one thing that having my son has me do well is compartmentalize. So if I find myself in a uncomfortable situation, my brain is now trained to be like, okay, I can't do nothing about all this stuff over here, but this I can. So let me focus on this right here. This is what I have to focus on.
Hey man, don't put your hand in the camera, bro.
Oh,
Inside joke. Continue.
But me being able to compartmentalize things is one of the gifts that came from, you know what I'm saying, me raising my beautiful son. Same with my daughter as well, but I'll explain that in a little bit of time. So again, one of the things that I can do well right now is if all hell's breaking loose, it's I understand when the Bible talks about peace beyond understanding, because I've been there more than once, with my son especially, where all hell's breaking loose and I can't control any of this stuff that's racing past me. I can only look at this and be like, okay, your son's dying. What are you gonna do about it? You know what I'm saying? What you can't control any of this, but you can control this, right? So, my belief in God definitely 1,000,000% was a huge thing that got me to that space. You know what I'm saying? Of being able to do that, but then creatively, it's the same thing. So like when I'm creating something, it can start from a place that's in my heart that is deep rooted in something, and then I try to pull it out in layers, little by little. You know what I'm saying? So my favorite storytellers are people that tell stories in layers. There's always a base layer that hopefully I keep you engaged with, you know what I'm saying, and make the story fun for you. But there's always a deeper story. There's always a deeper reason. There's always a deeper why. And I think that comes from the things that, you know what I'm saying, that I've been through. You know what I'm saying? God knows, like I said, with my son and with my daughter too. So the compartmentalization is the first thing that came to my mind when you said that, like, because I know that's one of the things that I can do, and regardless of where I want to hide, I can't. You know what I'm saying? Like you said. So I think, but I also know for my family, I'm the barometer. So, and what I mean is, like, for my son's mom, for his grandmother, and the family that has been there to help raise him, if I freak out, it's over for everybody else. You know what I'm saying? So whether I wanted to be in the spotlight or not, you are. You know what I'm saying? When they brought us into the ER to tell us he's not gonna make it, you know what I'm saying? Like, we could do this surgery, but it is medically impossible for this to go a different way. You know what I'm saying? There were percentages and everything thrown out there, and that's where the peace beyond understanding came in, because it's like, okay, I hear what you're telling me. I heard all the information they're telling me, but I'm honing in on, okay, so you say it's medically impossible. That means this is a God situation. That's the only route I got now. So you telling me medically there's nothing you can do. You telling me that you can do this medically, but it's probably a foregone conclusion. But when he was giving us that information, my family was crying. I don't remember if I was crying or not, but I was the one that responded to the doctors. Everybody else was crying. So, whether I wanted to be thrust into that space or not, I was. And that now is natural to me in a way. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, I don't get uncomfortable in those spaces anymore. Whereas growing up, I definitely was. So, experience is life's best teacher. And I've had a lot of experiences, you know what I'm saying? So that have taught me to be where I'm in the space I'm in now.
Right. So you mentioned when you were talking about compartmentalization, and you brought up your creativity. I wonder if you could talk more about specifically how, you know, that, because when I hear you talk about that, I immediately think of like the sense of urgency that you feel in those moments, right? How has those moments of, you know, that lack of control, that sense of urgency, you know, that facing those impossible situations, right? How has that impacted your creativity?
I think it causes me to be less fearful of trying things creatively.
That's good.
A good example is so when I first started writing Lumberjacks, when I first started writing the novel, I was a ordained deacon at my church, but I knew the storytelling direction that I wanted to take, and I knew that in order to tell the story that I wanted to take, there would need to be cursing, there would be some lifestyle situations that other people will probably deem ungodly, and things like that. And I really struggled for a while with, okay, am I going to be authentic? One thing that means the most to me in my life, period, especially in human interaction, is authenticity. But I really struggle with, okay, am I going to authentically tell this story how I hear it in my heart, how I feel it in my heart, or am I getting ready to tell this story to other people's expectations? Which again, going back to like my whole life and how I've lived it, I had to go through a transition process of, okay, you can't live your life based on what other people's expectations of you are. This is who you are. This is what you think. Say that. If people don't like it, it is what it is. And now I've got myself to a space where I'm not afraid to do that at all anymore. You know what I'm saying? So, and a lot of it probably had to do with my son, like, because again, when you're going through things where you don't have those options anymore, you know what I mean? Like you learn to just hone in on what I can control. And in this situation, I can control my story. But that was not a snap process. I had to grow to that. You know what I'm saying? I had to grow to the point where I was like, all right. And I literally put it on Facebook and told people, like, my story is going to have some cursing. It's going to have some situations in there that people might deem ungodly or whatever. And if that makes you view me differently and my walk with God differently, I understand. I disagree with you, but I understand. But I had to make that statement because I was going to be true to the story that I wanted to tell. And that's something I believe heavily in. I think as an artist, the art that impacts human hearts most is the stuff that's authentically felt. So especially when it comes to singing, any type of art form, singing, dancing, anything that is, God knows if it's an entertainment thing, you feel those scenes differently in movies. You feel those when somebody's laughing and it's a real belly laugh. You know what I'm saying? Well, people, that's why some of the favorite moments in comedy, at least mine, are when people break. You know what I'm saying? When they break character, you're supposed to stay in character. Like, I love Saturday Night Live. You know what I'm saying? You're working hard not to break character, but it's too funny. You can't hold it. So you let that laugh out. Now we all are laughing with you because it's authentically, we know you can't hold it. You know what I'm saying? When you're listening to music, some of my favorite music that I ever listen to is music that, you know, this person they are channeling something right now. You know what I'm saying? And as a writer, when I get myself into that space, I know you know this because I've read your writing. You know what I'm saying? When you get yourself into that, I call it a God space almost. When you get yourself into that God space, which is going, you don't ever want to leave that space because you're literally not even thinking in that space. You know what I'm saying? You just, what's inside you is coming outside of you. You know what I'm saying? You just connected to it and it's just going, and there's no thought to it. You rather rearrange it after the fact. You know what I'm saying? Like, does this work for this? Okay, let me move this, whatever. But I don't want to stop this creative flow process. So to me, being able to connect to that most authentic piece, again, is something that came about because of the things that I went through in my life, and being able to shed that concern about other people's expectations. And you, like you said earlier, as a writer, you know that you're going to hear more no's than yeses. But the important question is that going to make you change? To me, the important question to me is that going to make you change what you actually feel in your heart? You know what I'm saying? Because if you're getting ready to write something to appease your listeners, it might work. You might be that good. You know what I'm saying? But to me, I would always rather hear exactly what that person feels, exactly what that person's thinking. So, and that's very important to me as a creative person.
And you said, and I want to highlight this real quick. My man Danny J. Quick, shout out to Danny J. Quick, said fear is the enemy of creativity. I think Socrates said that. I'm not sure if Socrates said that, but I think that's a true quote.
I agree.
But you mentioned that it was a process to get to that. It didn't just happen overnight. I
No.
wonder if there are some practical things that you can point to that you did, maybe some things that you added to a routine or some things that you took away from your routine that was able to get you to that growth.
Man. For that specific purpose, I have to think on that. I know that one of the most important things that I do now, uh, that I had to grow to do, because when I was young, I used to do that, and I used to only like to write when I was in that God space. So I used to only like to I used to hate writing and having to come back to it. If I started writing something, I want to finish all of it right now, because, and I think part of it for me was I felt like it was inauthentic, or I'm going to lose my place in that mode that I was in. I'm going to lose that, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to reconnect to it. So one of the things that is extremely important to me now, I used to just write from that space and just let the creative, whatever was in my head, you know what I'm saying, let that creative process just take place, fall onto the paper. We'll rearrange it later. Kind of like artists that, you know, you splash all the paint on the wall and then you rearrange it as how you want. That's how I used to write. And in the process of me and Danny writing season 4 of the Super Shorts podcast, outlining became a huge part of my process. Because as long as I realize that it's still authentic, like I said, I used to feel like it was inauthentic because I'm picking something up that was a previous thought or whatever, and I don't know if I even really connect to that like I did, and I had to get out of that mind space. But the outlines helped me to realize, one, this was your initial idea. This is where you initially wanted to drive that story, that character, whatever it is. That was my first part of the reason I wanted to tell that story. And then being able to outline and say, okay, this was your original thought. This is where this can go. This is where I think it should go. Whatever. I go through that process, but then everything in between those spaces is freedom. You know what I'm saying? I just need you know how, you know, cars have lane detection now. You know what I'm saying? Like I need the lane detection like the outline is the lane detection for me to realize, all right, you're going outside of your lane. And sometimes that's fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I want the initial thought process. What was my initial thought for this character? What was my initial thought for this antagonist, and why are they operating like that? You know what I'm saying? Because for me personally, your story is only as good as your villain or antagonist. You know what I'm saying? If that antagonist is weak, in my opinion, the story is probably going to be weak. It's, at least for me, I always want to feel like there's an actual threat to the goal of the protagonist. You know what I'm saying? So as I'm building my outlines, I want to flesh those things out so that when people are reading this story, they can feel it. You know what I'm saying? They can feel the oppression of the protagonist. They can feel the angst of whatever decision they have to make, or whatever. So the outlining thing has been a huge part of my process. And like I said, it doesn't mean that I stick to it. It doesn't mean that I stick to it. I just need the initial roadmap to know what my initial thought was. This is where I initially thought I was going to end up. And again, a perfect example is that season, me and Danny came up with a whole thing of what we wanted this villain to be. What we wanted the character story to be. And when we got to the end, it was, I'm not gonna say it was nothing like it, but it was not what we had mapped. But it felt better. You know what I'm saying? So outlining to me would be a big thing. You know what I'm saying? Especially for how I write now, especially if you're gonna do connected stories. That outline is going to be a lifeline at that point. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't want to lose that initial spark, that initial flame that made you want to tell that story. So outline is the first thing that came to my head when you asked me that.
Yeah. Okay. I got a couple more questions before we wrap up. And one of those questions is, what would you say to somebody who is afraid of rejection right now? What should be their next step?
One, I get it. But one thing that I've learned, again, through experience is the worst thing that can happen is this isn't the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? So like if it's a question that you're afraid to ask, like how your teachers used to tell you there's no stupid question, it's not. You know what I'm saying? Like it might seem stupid, but it's not. Only even if the question is authentic and you genuinely don't understand it, you asking the question is only for your clarity. So even if it sounds dumb, at the very least now you have more clarity than you did before you asked that question. So there's no downside to it. The only downside to it is that you didn't ask. So now you don't have that clarity. It's Michael Jordan's quote. You miss every shot that you don't take. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't you want if I would far rather be 2 for 100 than 0 for 0. You know what I mean? So that you if that fear locks you into place, you'll never know what you're actually capable of. You know what I mean? And I used to say from a spiritual perspective, one thing that really used to motivate me spiritually is like if I felt like there was some type of force demonically or whatever way you believe in things, karma, whatever it is, if there was something negative that was trying to stop me from something, that I felt like were trying to stop me from something, the negative, whatever it is, stops me whether I stand still or whether I am caught in the middle. If I stop, you know what I'm saying? Like if I'm driving down the field and driving down the football field and I get scared because the defense is starting to play better, you still lose. You can't score. You can't score. I cannot score, period, until I get to the end zone. I can't score points if I don't shoot the ball. I can't, you know what I'm saying? I can't. It doesn't matter what the fear is. The worst that can happen is that you don't try, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't try, you'll never know. And if you never know, then you'll always doubt yourself. You'll always resent it. You'll always look back on it. And you'll never, at the very least, I would rather live with, I asked and they said no, than I wondered it and never said yes to myself.
Yeah, as you were talking and you brought up the failure piece, I saw this quote the other day and it said I didn't fail, but I didn't fail. I just found another way not to do it. I don't remember exactly how the quote was structured, but basically what it was saying was like, I'm just learning lessons so that I could just keep, okay, that didn't work. Let me try this next one. Okay, okay, I'm gonna try this one. Okay, that didn't work. Let me try. Oh, that worked. You know, and so it's like this just continual process of saying, all right, I'm just gonna do this until I figure this thing out. You know what I mean?
I think I really love listening to people that are in the spaces that I want to be in, speak about how they got there. Like Steve Harvey is really good for that. You know what I'm saying? Like just talk you through how he got where he was and the barriers that he had to break in himself. Kevin Hart does it a lot. They be dropping game. They drop knowledge all the time. It's just a matter of whether you listen to them or not. But one thing I hear that all of them say all the time is that you have to stay. Like there's always going to be a point of fear, but on the other side of fear is success. You know what I'm saying? Like you cannot get to success without the fear. It's not possible. Even if the fear is just you with yourself. You know what I'm saying? So like just like you said, like if I tried this and that didn't work, you always are going to find out how bad somebody actually wants something by what they actually do. The only thing that's holding most of us back from anything that we want is us. If you make the decision that you want to go do something, almost always the only thing that's stopping you from that is you. You know what I'm saying? Like it's how determined you are to actually go do it. It's how many times the old saying, it's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get up. You know what I'm saying? So all of that stuff goes hand in hand. And to me, in my life, I've definitely found that to all be true.
Yeah. And real quick before we go to our last segment, I just looked up Steph Curry's career 3-point percentage.
Mm-hmm.
And he shoots 43% from three.
Right?
That's bananas, right? But if you really look at it, that's basically 4 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Now, most people would say that's really not a lot of shots you're making out of 10. That's 4 out of 10, right? Mm-hmm. And I think about that. I think about baseball, right? It's like, look, it's not about the failure. You know what I'm saying? It's about saying, look, I'm gonna step up to the plate, right? I'm gonna swing the bat. I'm gonna step up to the free throw. I'm gonna step up to the 3-point line. I'm gonna shoot the shot. You know what I'm saying? And look, I put in the work, and I'm gonna let the chips fall where they may. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, like you talked about earlier, like knowing what you can and can't control, right? You know, all right, cool. I can control this. I can't control none of this, but this right here, I know I can do this. So this is what I'm gonna do, right? And I think in my mind, that's one of the keys. Like you listening to the people tell their stories, a major thing is they just decided this is what I'm gonna do, and y'all ain't gonna stop me.
There's no stopping. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't matter how many times they have to do it. Like you just God, man, you just said something that, and it made me think about God, I hope it comes back. It was an example of something that you just said about the
baseball or shooting, stepping to the 3-point line, stepping up to the plate.
It was something. It was something you said after that.
You're not gonna stop me. I'm gonna keep going. I don't know, bro.
It'll come back to me. It'll come back to me. I hope it does.
I'm sure it was great too. I'm sure it was.
I don't know. I just know that it can't. I should have just said it, but I didn't want to interrupt.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't. That'd been rude.
Yeah, it'll probably come back to me, but yeah. I think
text it to me later.
Yeah. I think it's this. I hope that somebody that is in that mental space, please just try. You know what I'm saying? Just it really seriously. Again, almost every situation that you talk yourself out of, literally the worst thing that could happen is a no, and then you tweak it. But if you really want whatever it is, go back at it. You know what I'm saying? Try it again. Like ask somebody else has been there. You know what I'm saying? Like ask somebody else that's why I listen to them, like Issa Rae, Steve Harvey, Tommy Adeyemi, Ryan Coogler, like the people that inspire me most. That's why I listen to them, because they putting you on game. They telling you how they got there. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times, the majority of there's a reason in a lot of cases people are successful and people aren't. The most successful people are usually the ones that are not going to give up. What made Michael Jordan better than everybody else, what made Kobe Bryant better than everybody else, what made them Tom Brady, all these GOATs that we look up to in sports, what made them better than everybody else is that when the moment came, hey, I might miss this mug, but I'm gonna shoot, cuz you know what I'm saying? You think you gonna score on me? I doubt it. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? And if you do, good job. I'll be back though. You know what I'm saying? Like it's always the next thing. It's always the next play. It's always, and they're maniacal about it. You know what I mean? So you gotta get the Mamba mentality.
For sure. Shout out to my guy Kyron. What's up, brother?
What up, Kyron?
Appreciate you for tuning in. But yeah, with that said, man, we're gonna move to our last segment. I call this the one.
Okay.
My first question for you is, what is one book that you think everyone should read?
The Alchemist.
The Alchemist. What an amazing answer. I don't think anybody said that. That's a great book. That's a great book right there.
That is one of my favorite books I've ever read.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Short.
Yeah, short to the point. That's great. What's one word you want your legacy to be described as?
That's a good one. One word legacy. Dang. Authentic. Okay. Authentic.
What's one piece of advice you would give to your younger self?
F them niggas.
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah, absolutely. I only say that because, like I said, when I was growing up, I had so much in my head about all the stuff I couldn't do in my own head. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm thinking about everybody else. I took myself out of a music scholarship. I took myself out of attending the universities I wanted to go to. I took myself out of, relationships I could have possibly been in. I took myself out of educational opportunities I could have been a part of, all because I was in my head about it. So,
F them niggas,
yeah.
F the mother niggas, because I ride for one thing. I die for my niggas.
Mm-mm.
All right. What's one thing you would change about your creative journey?
Never stopping it in the first place.
Say that again.
Not stopping it in the first place. I used to love writing. I got awards in school for poems and stuff like that when I was growing up, and I got myself to a place where I stopped writing because I didn't want to get picked on. I didn't want to bring attention to myself to get picked on, and I shut my own faucet off. You know what I'm saying? And I wish I had never done that, because who knows? I might have already been in the space I wanted to be writing wise. You know what I'm saying? If I'd have never stopped doing it. So
yeah. I feel like you answered this a little bit earlier, but I'm gonna ask the question anyway. What's one thing that you want everyone that hears or sees this to walk away with?
Don't stop trying. Don't stop. Well, you said one thing.
Nah,
you know what?
Say the 20 you're thinking of right now. Go ahead.
Okay. Don't stop.
I'm sorry. We don't have enough time. I don't know why I said that. Like,
hey, be authentic.
He's like, 20? Oh, I can do that.
Hey, I can get at least 2 off. Be authentically you, and don't stop trying. Those would be 2. The authentic piece being the top one for me.
Word. Well, Morgan, I appreciate you for coming through tonight. I just want to say, bro, I appreciate you. I admire you. It's been great getting to know you. I mean, we've been getting to know each other for the last, 3-4 years.
Mm-hmm.
But really for the last year, since we've been doing Bequest and meeting every week, like, we really gotten to know each other. You get on my nerves, but
God, that's right.
You are my brother. And I just appreciate you, bro. I admire you.
That's great.
And I admire the way you handle and this life that you live in, bro. Like, this life that you live in, man, I just admire people. When I see them, I know that they going through unimaginable hardships, and they still carry it with grace. They carry it with strength. They carry it with poise. And I just want to tell you, bro, I appreciate you, brother. I admire you. And yeah, man, I just wanted to make sure I let you know that for sure.
Man, I appreciate that, bro. You get on my nerves more. You get on my nerves more. You already know, because I tell you more often, because I'm not a jerk. But you know how much I admire you, your writing, your passion for writing, your passion for art. You're great at it. I love your storytelling. Who you are. I consider you to be an authentic person, which is one of the reasons I think, regardless of us getting on each other's nerves, I think that's one of the reasons that we click, because I don't feel like you're inauthentic. I feel like, what I'm saying, whether we agree or not, that's really what you stand on. That's really what you believe. You know what I'm saying? And that, more than any, there's no human trait that means more to me than that one. So I admire you as a father. I admire you as a husband. I admire you as a man. I admire you as a creator. Even though you get on my GD nerves. And you be calling the fuss with me randomly. I want to make sure this is on record. We still live, right? I want y'all to know.
I'm glad you brought up this. Go ahead, continue.
I want to make sure this is clear, and I might start recording it just so I have documentation. So he's my big brother. You older than me, right?
I don't think so, brother.
How old are you?
I'm 36.
Oh, never mind.
How old are you?
40.
Damn.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't have to Kevin Hart me, bro. You didn't have to do that. Yeah. You know what?
Damn.
You didn't have to Kevin Hart me, bro. Yeah. I don't look it anyway.
Yo, but real talk, when you said that, I thought you was gonna say that to me. And then you didn't say it. So I said, well, here's my moment.
Whatever you.
Damn.
Hey, at least everybody gets to see it live. You know what I'm saying? That you're a jerk net. But like y'all don't understand. Like my bro would literally call me and be like, "Hey man, what you doing?" And I'd be like, "Nothing, bro, chilling. You know, at work, whatever." He like, "All right, bet." And then he would like right then just start an argument with me. And I'm not joking, guys. I'm not joking. I mean this. I'm Kevin Hart. Yeah, that's wrong.
Yeah.
That was wrong. But you literally do that in real life, and I want people to know that actually happens. I mean, will you admit to that? Will you admit to that lie? Will you admit that you do that? And you take pleasure in it. Can you? I want to make sure you put that in there.
Here's the thing. I enjoy lively conversation. What I don't appreciate though is people who they'll change what they're saying in the midst of the conversation in order to make themselves seem righter than they are. And I feel as though you be doing that. And I'm like, bro, what do we do? Like, why are you changing? That's not what you said in the beginning. So why are you saying that now?
That's crazy.
And, and the reason why I'm glad you brought this up is because Javon is here in the comments.
Yeah.
Saying the things that he's saying. And I don't even want to get into the way he be moving the goalposts, if you will. But yeah, you know, it's all love. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Javon, you're gonna be on the show, brother. We just have a no arguing policy on this show, and so I didn't know if Javon could abide by the policy. So you know what I'm saying? So,
wow. Well, doesn't that also
abide by the policy? Come through.
But doesn't that also prove my point that you two are more argumentative than me?
I don't think so. How does that prove the point? Javon argues with everybody he encounters.
That's factual. I did not.
He just argues.
I did not.
Javon talks, and it's an argument.
I'm not denying that.
We're arguing. Now we're arguing.
I'm not denying that. I'm just saying that I don't do that. Like I be minding my beeswax.
See this right here? You see what he said right here? This is literally me. Like I did that. I was the one talking to him, and I said, "Bro, I agree with you, bro. Like you're right. However, I'm just not gonna do what you said."
It was however, though.
I agree with you.
It was the fact that you said however. That's probably where the rub was. You know what I'm saying? Like that you said however. Like you shouldn't have been no however. If you agree, then why is there a however? It's probably where he's coming from.
The reason why it's a however because I don't want to do it. I don't want to do what you've told me to do.
I don't blame you. I'm just saying.
That's a lie, Javon.
Oh man,
Javon, Javon, come, bro.
Oh man,
Javon, don't do that, Javon. I'm about to have to send Javon the link now. Because don't do that, Javon.
Hey, listen,
don't do that. Don't do that.
Who's argumentative now? I'm just saying.
Don't do that.
Who looks
peaceful? This is what I'm saying. This is
who looks peaceful to you guys right now. I'm trying to be a peacemaker.
This one I feel like I gotta argue when people start lying, saying untruths.
But I didn't.
You know what I'm saying? This is uncouth. This is uncouth, Javon.
I spoke facts. I spoke facts, and I tried to be a peacemaker here. And it's harder to be a peacemaker than a keeper. Just to point that out.
Shout out to my guy Wally McNair, the peacemaker.
No, don't you do that.
I've seen it in action. What you talking about? Man,
Wally he like that. My big bro be like that sometimes, but most of the time he be like, I don't know. Like
Wally's like, look, Wally's like Bruce Banner. He's like, you don't want to see me when I get angry. You don't want to see that side of me.
No. The whole come out, no. I tried to assassinate him. What happened? He ate the bullet.
That was funny, bro.
I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. I'm all about peace. You know what I mean? I'll be minding my beeswax.
Oh wow, there's a lot.
To argue with you though?
Yeah.
How
this guy Javon is tripping, bro.
It wasn't to argue with you. I repeatedly said that I started that podcast because we have differing opinions on things, but I respect your opinion. That's why. Why would I want to start a podcast with somebody I agree with all the time?
No, this guy came on my joint telling me I'm lying.
I know the audacity. the audacity.
Yeah, he said this is libel and slander.
Yo.
Now let's go ahead and get up out of here. Listen, if you watch this, thank you so much for tuning in. Like this, subscribe to this, share it with somebody. I appreciate y'all. As always, you know that I love you, and we out of here.